course, I'm going to go first to Crispy Bomb. Look, as we've heard from places like Xbox Era, as we've heard from places like, of course, Jez Corden, this is not the Xbox handheld. This is an OEM device, meaning that this is from a third party. But I still think it has relevance. I want to get your thought process, and more importantly, the excitement now that we basically have it confirmed from ROG. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, if they integrate Xbox Live / Game Pass, or if I'm just an Ultimate Game Pass member into that system, I will buy it. It's one of those things like, you know what you already have. It's actually pretty good. I don't know how they're going to do it. I really don't care. The one thing I'll say is a lot of people are like, well, why didn't Microsoft doesn't do that. Like if somebody is going to make something for them, they let them announce it. That's the way they roll. Okay. Like, and it's just, I feel like it's just out of respect. Like, you know, like you're going to make this and it's going to be integrated with our software and all these other things. They're going to do that. And they're going to let you announce it when you're ready. Will they tease it? Absolutely. They will. They have teased it for a while. We've been talking about this for a while. And the one thing I'll say is that if you look at, so like, let's say hypothetically, it has, you know, just a little stand in the back and you can play with your Xbox controller rather than being on the handheld itself. I mean, is that a bad thing? This is where I say, like, everybody hates Microsoft for giving you options, and I'm like, yeah, but that's what they've done forever. Like, you know, if you ever use Windows, they change things all the time, but a lot of times it's not the worst thing in the world. Like a lot of times you're like, oh, this actually helps a lot. Like, you know, little widgets and stuff like that. Like, hey, we can help you here. And then it does. They've been doing this. Okay. So you look at something that's a handheld device, but it's not for somebody like me or Boom. But then you say, okay, but you could just, you know, it's already installed. And I think that would be important. The Xbox app, which we keep hearing that they're working on, okay, like to make it better and better and better. And it's already installed in this new console. And it's a part of the entire ROG ecosystem, and it's like a pillar. And it's like, okay, you have an Xbox here, but it's really just software, and we're making the hardware. I mean, I don't know. Like, this is where we're at. Like, you have to understand. Like, you don't need to see some kind of crazy hardware until a company makes it, and then all of a sudden they're going to integrate it with Xbox. And we saw that, like, I saw the controller, and it was quite funny because it's a bot. Guess what? What are we all called? Xbox.
Robots.
Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's actually, it's clever, okay? And it also, like, the music gave me Sony vibes as well with Astrobot, which is weird. Okay, so what are they like? They're like, okay, like but if you want to get into it, like what I want is you're able to play your Xbox games, but if you want to tinker, because I've seen people play PlayStation games on Xbox many times with the dev mode and all that. If you want to tinker, you can play Steam games and everything else. And this is where we're getting into like this weird, like, you know, like everybody's like, oh, I could play PlayStation games on Steam if the new Xbox comes out with Steam integrated and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, like, do you know how many games come out on Steam? I ain't worried about PlayStation games. I'm not worried about PlayStation games because I see my son like getting into weird, like, and they don't look great, but it's just a fun experience. And I think, like, you know, a lot of people, like, I'm sorry, Colin Moriarty, you're wrong, bro. Because I'm gonna tell you right now.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that at some point this week. I think we're gonna save.
I'm gonna tell you right now, okay. it's not about me. Okay. I'm an OG. All right. It's about that kid up there that's like, man, like I could take this box around and, travel. And then, like he loves bringing games with him. You know what I mean? Like he loves having those experiences with other people if he goes and stays at grandma's or something. You know what I mean? Like he loves doing that. And, like he can't take his big old PC and do that. But if it's like, like I would say you can't go much bigger than a Series X size, but you think about what the chipsets and they're doing and all these things that they're innovating in, like it probably will be about as large as a Series X. You could, if you want to, you could take that with you. But having a handheld that uses the cloud and all these other, I'm telling you, Microsoft is playing a different game. Like you got to realize they're playing a different game. Like they're gonna use the partners that they have. Clearly, Asus is one of them, and they're going to do that, and they're going to use that to their advantage because at the end of the day, they already told you, Xbox. This is the Xbox. That's the Xbox. My TV is an Xbox. I don't need my Series X anymore because I'm a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. Now, maybe they change that aspect. Maybe they make the internet free, which everybody's asked for, because you can download games from Steam, even if it's their own games. These are all options. They're just giving you new stuff. And for once, I don't think they're too far ahead. And I think that's important because, as much crap as I've given Microsoft over my lifetime and looked at like the way they've ran their business, they have completely changed. They want you to have options. You want to buy the game, you want to subscribe to Ultimate Game Pass, you want to do whatever. You want to just be a flat core Game Pass subscriber. They're giving you all of that, but they're also still giving you games randomly or giving you free games. And then also enticing you. Oh, all these PlayStation people are buying all these games. Well, why don't you like this game? You know what I mean? Oh, do you want to buy it too? They'll probably give you a discount because you're on Xbox. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't seen that case yet. I'm sure I'm going to see it at some point, but it's probably like $20, $30 cheaper if you want to buy that game and you're a core Game Pass subscriber. You know what I mean? They're just giving you options. What you choose is up to you.
Yeah, ultimately, that's what it comes down to, brother. Great points of view as always, brother. You're killing it today. Listen, Jamie and Umbra, and of course, we'll come back around to Crispy Bomb. I have a report that just came in, and I had it. I actually DM'd it to myself, and this is the timing is everything, as they say in life, right? So, Windows Central is reporting. And this report was tweeted by Jez Corden of Windows Central, but it was written by Zach Bowden, published 3 hours ago. And this is where the timing gets into the conversation. First signs of the dedicated Xbox interface for Windows 11 handheld PCs has been spotted in its latest preview. This goes right along with the ROG Ally announcement yesterday. And again, yes, it was done in CG. Yes, it was done in a quirky Astrobot looking kind of a way. But obviously, they're talking about this ROG Ally X Xbox handheld. And I think this is around the corner. Again, I don't know if it's this week simply because Nintendo is going to be really stealing everyone's attention. And I don't know. I mean, ROG is a big company. Maybe you do this next week, but I don't think that they put out this 30-second CG trailer of what appears to be this mythical box that Jez Corden reported on a couple of weeks ago. My excitement has gone through the roof. And now we hear that they're the first signs of the dedicated Xbox interface, where, of course, what this is going to look like, apparently, is it's going to look and run like what's on your console. Yes, please. Where can I buy this and pre-order this thing? Let's get your thoughts on it, man.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a different product to what people like have thought they wanted, because when this whole PC, handheld thing was announced or, teased a few weeks ago or months ago, there was a lot of backlash in the Xbox community. People saying, look, I want to play my console games. This is a PC handheld. And we do know that the dedicated console, first party handheld device. That's coming at some point, which will play all your Xbox games. But this device, if you look at it as an Xbox ecosystem device, and if you play a lot of first-party Xbox games and a lot of games that launch in Game Pass day one, those games are also on PC. So theoretically, you could play a lot of your Xbox library on this new PC handheld. So, and you're going to be able to access Steam, because the tag on the ROG Twitter account kept using play all your games, right? So obviously you're going to have access to Steam, the Epic Store, probably others, and having Xbox having a dedicated UI across the entire ecosystem, because I mentioned this last week, like Xbox, they see where this PC handheld stuff is going, right? Steam OS is going to be able to put on third-party devices. There's already one handheld that already has Steam OS on it, and like Xbox wants their software on handhelds. They don't want an early 2000s thing to happen where PlayStation was going to take over the living room, because it had a DVD player, and then Xbox came out. They want this to be basically kind of the same, if that makes sense. They can't let SteamOS be put on basically every single device, because look, Windows is the biggest operating system, but a lot of gamers basically just use their PCs just to play games. So if these people all of a sudden don't need Windows, that's a big problem for Microsoft. So them having a dedicated like OS structure for their handhelds and gaming, we're going to see that soon, and I think it's the way to go. And look, if you go back 5 years ago, I thought that nobody could ever do a handheld unless it was Nintendo, ever. And then Steam Deck came out and absolutely blew people's expectations away. And then the ROG came out, and people loved that thing. And one of my friends has a ROG. He can't shut up about the bloody thing. And like people are loving these PC handhelds. So like, if Xbox can get their brand associated with PC gaming and not just consoles, that's going to be a big win for them. And if you have like, console fans in chat, there's going to be something coming for us as well. If you play a lot of first party things, this is going to be for us as well, because look, I know people that basically only play Xbox first party games and the occasional Game Pass game and, things like GTA and stuff, right? This is going to be a device for them. So I think this device has a lot of potential, because whereas a few months ago people were complaining that this isn't the dedicated console handheld, but this is going to play a lot of people's games. And with how mobile gaming's popping off at the minute, has been for a few years, like Xbox wants to get out there running, because look, the Switch 2 is going to be shown off tomorrow. The Steam Deck 2 is probably going to be announced in the next year or two. Like Microsoft, they need to put their foot down and say, look, this is our PC handheld. And it won't be for everyone, but it's going to sell well. And personally, like I was going to wait for the console handheld 2 years from now, but I'm really interested to see what this is like, because maybe I'll pick one up. And I don't even play games outside the house. I'll just be sitting on the couch holding the thing. So like, I can't wait to see this. I think there's going to be a lot of people interested in this, especially if you play first-party games.
I think there's a lot to get excited about. Again, you can get a ROG right now. You can buy a Steam Deck. You can buy a Lenovo Legion Go. There are tons of choices for you out there. For me, who wants the console experience, I'm not looking for having to get into Windows 10, 11, wherever. I want it to run like an Xbox. This is great news for me. It's great news for a lot of people who simply want the console level experience, meaning you press a button, you turn this thing on, it goes right to your dashboard that looks like an Xbox. You pick a game and you play. Now, right now, we know that we can't play every game you own, but they're working on that. And when they get to their own handheld, I would imagine they'll have that figured out well in advance. But Infinite Number, let's get your final thoughts on this before I catch up on super chats, and then we'll get everyone out of here. I mean, this is confirmation, at least in my opinion. Again, now when you start adding these things up, right? You have the little commercial, the little CG trailer that doesn't give much, right? It's funny, it's comical, right? It's made to be cutesy, but it basically confirms that this thing exists. And I would imagine that we're going to get an announcement soon. How soon? I'm not sure. Because, again, I think everyone's getting out of the way of the Nintendo Switch. But then, of course, you have the story that was posted by Windows Central today and written by Zach Bodwin, would basically confirms that the Xbox dedicated interface that we've been talking about, that we all want, is showing up out in the wild. This is great. Let's get your thoughts on this, man.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of gave up some good points, I think, on it. For me, already being a rock goon, as we call ourselves. Shout out to Black John in the chat, the rock goons. This might not speak to me necessarily just because I already have it, unless this is a significant upgrade and a tech involved. I don't see myself getting it. And then also have to take into account next, well, not next year, but in 2027, of course, the Xbox handheld. So it's like, do I want to get this? Do I need to get this? And what will I do once that hits? So it's kind of like, Now I know a bunch of guys who are connoisseurs of these handhelds, and they got multiple ones. I'm not that guy.
Oh, I can name a few. I'll name the names here. John Wolf. John, if you're in the chat,
John
brother,
Wolf,
he's
sure.
he's probably has about 13 of them.
Shout out to John. He's in Japan right now.
is another one who has quite a few.
Is another.
Yep. I mean, the list goes on and on. I have one. I have a ROG Ally that I'd be more than happy to sell, trade in, whatever, if you give me the Xbox dedicated handheld. Sign me up, please.
For sure. I mean, and John, shout out to him, by the way. He's in Japan right now, so he got to travel. But yeah, they both have multiple handhelds, and it's like, me, I'm just like, give me a good handheld and I'm done. I don't need to have multiples of it. But so for me, this has to have more significant tech involved for me to get involved with it. I like that. Clearly, they're showing that they put the handheld and they put the Rakiri Pro from Asus in there with it. So clearly, if you're reading that the way I'm reading it, it's going to have Xbox features on the outside of the shell, and it's going to likely have the controller contours around the ergonomics of when you hold it, right?
Yes,
that's
kind
what
of like we've heard rumors of it looking and feeling like a controller with grips.
Yep. And that's pretty much exactly what it's alluding to. If you looked at that, it's obvious. Also to a show like the Xbox layout with the YBAX and such layout. So all of that was in there too. So it's pretty clear. I'm a little surprised that Microsoft was like, yeah, go ahead and do it now. But it is what it is. It's a little teaser. They didn't really spoil anything. I mean, it's a worst kept secret anyway right now, right? Yeah, and also too, it did highlight some upgrades though. It did say that it has or at least it suggests that it had a better battery. One of the negatives for the original ROG is that it's not doesn't have a great battery in it, right? So, but I'm always plugged in, so I never had that issue. So not only am I getting the best performance because I can raise my TDP, but also I don't have to worry about my battery draining out the handheld rather and dying while I'm playing the game. And I've gamed on it a lot, so. The TO suggested at least a better battery, faster speed, so like for performance, and that possibly might have that Ryzen Z2 chip, so it could be upgraded. It's possible. I mean, it will make the most sense to have it at that point. So, hopefully that's the case. I'm excited just to see it out there. I just don't know if I'll be the customer for it because I already got what I got, and I'm just kind of practical like that. Like, I got one.